welcome to Halton Women's Place, a show dedicated to the only women's shelter in the region and the issue of women abuse in our community and beyond. And I'm Carm Botso, I'm your host, and I am the Manager of Development and Communications for Halton Women's Place. And it's a pleasure to be here in this month of November, where we are commemorating Women Abuse Prevention Month. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of commemorating such a month, why you see purple around the community, and a special project that's happening in Georgetown later on, actually next month, but we're talking about it and promoting it this month as well through Women Abuse Prevention Month. So I have Halton Regional Police Services here. I have our Executive Director, Lori Hepburn from Halton Women's Place, and the Mayor of Halton Hills, Rick Bonnet, all joining together to talk about a special project. But first, Lori from Halton Women's Place, why is it important that we recognize this month as Women Abuse Prevention Month?
Well, it's so important that, while we work tirelessly 365 days out of the year at Halton Women's Place and together in our community to raise awareness about domestic violence, to raise awareness about the fact that 20 to 30 women across Ontario are killed every year due to domestic violence. 1 in 4 women experience, and over 3,000 women are staying in women's shelters across Ontario on any given year. And we need to continue to let these women know that they're not alone, that the community is here, that there is help available, and that together we will continue to be part of the solution in ending violence against women.
It's really important. I was saying off air, actually, right before we started rolling, is the emails that we're getting after producing articles in the newspapers. And what's really affecting people, especially people who have lived in the community for so long, are those statistics. When they're seeing those statistics or reading those statistics about how many women are affected, how many families are affected, and either they're donating or reaching out or just, communicating, their thanks to Halton Women's Place and our staff for helping these women in our community. But I found it to be really interesting in terms of our last article that we produced, because we did mention those type of statistics and statistics that the police have also shared with us and sharing with the community about what they're seeing. So I found that to be quite moving this morning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, that's really, I think, the collective message that all of us continue to raise in our community is that you are not alone. For victims and survivors of domestic violence, it can be a very isolating place to be. And there's a lot of stigma and a lot of shame. And we just want to create safe spaces for women to be able to talk about what's happening to them.
Absolutely. And talking about that, that's a great segue into my next question for Tom and Anita from the Halton Regional Police Services about the importance of us working together, Halton Women's Place and Halton Regional Police. Why is it so important for us to work together, especially with this topic?
Carm, that's a great question. And I would like to say personally and also professionally, I think it's great that we can see the community coming together to address such a prevalent issue within our region, right? Like, the problem with intimate partner violence is it touches everybody. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, where you're from. It's all across the board, and it's something that affects families. It's something that affects, the individuals and us as a community, and there's a huge cost to it, right? And the police are not the answer on our own. Yes, we will come and we will help you when there's an emergency, but there's so many other services that are out there, and there's so many other people that are out there as well. And the fact that we can come together and work with each other to try and address this issue is really, it's good and it's promising, right? And hopefully going forward, we can see more of us come together and attack this issue, because one of us can't do it on our own. Like, we can't do it by ourselves. And we're here to say, we need help, and we need everybody else's help in the community to address this issue so that we can try and make, every woman and child and person out in our community feel safe, because it's their right to feel safe, and we need to come together to do what we can to make them safe.
You make a really great point about that as well, is that we can't do this alone. And we say the same thing at Halton Women's Place. I know our staff can't do it alone. We need our community support. We need those wraparound services and partnerships throughout the region as well with different organizations. Lori, how have you seen our relationship with Halton Regional Police grow?
Well, it's we have a very we are so fortunate for the relationship that we have with Halton Regional Police here at Halton Women's Place. And I know that that's not the same in every region. So I feel very fortunate for Chief Tanner, Deputy Wilkie, Deputy Hill, and all the officers, all the different ranks across Halton Regional Police. We know that if we work in silos, we're not going to get anywhere with supporting survivors of domestic violence. We both come from very different frameworks, and we have to learn from one another if we're going to help women through our system, which we know is not perfect. There are lots and lots of areas that we need to continue to improve. And I'm just so appreciative that the Halton Regional Police Services continues to absorb that and work with us at Halton Women's Place to hear what we hear from survivors and how we can continue to support them together as a team, because that's really how we keep women safe.
And so one of those partnership opportunities, and I alluded to this earlier in my introduction, is the Purple Bench Project, Barb's Benches. Anita, I know that you did a lot of research on Barb's Benches and wanting to bring that to Halton and with Halton Women's Place. Can you give us a little background on what this is about?
Absolutely. When we first started this, actually we started this probably a year and a half ago. And this partnership with Halton Women's Place is 10, 15, 20 years of relationships have really grown. We wanted to do something which was twofold. A, to commemorate victims of intimate partner violence as well as survivors. At the time, we wanted to create a memorial at our headquarters building, which was beautiful. We unveiled it on November 2nd of last year, and it's a very stunning site for anybody that can come and visit it. And it's a symbolism as well. However, we were conscious of the fact that because it's at a police building, we're not necessarily going to be able to target members within the community that don't have a reason to be here. So we wanted to be able to expand that project and go into the community, and which resulted in our relationship with Mayor Bennett. And through that research, we thought, how can we further expand on this and create an environment where people will, A, visually appealing, and then B, draw their attention and give them an opportunity to pause and think about what the purpose is. So we did some research into the silent witness of Nova Scotia, and that's where Barb's Benches stems from. And these are purple benches to commemorate Barb Bailey. Her children erected the bench in 2017. And it's since been brought to Ontario through Natalie Novak Fund. And we have been working with Natalie's mother, Dawn Novak, who unveiled the first Ontario benches, which there were 3 benches unveiled in October. And much to what Lori just indicated is we can't do this without partnerships. And this is an issue across the country, across the world. So we wanted to partner with Silent Witness Nova Scotia, as well as the Dawn Novak Fund. So we are going to be erecting a purple bench in honor of all of our local victims, but also in honor of these 2 other partners.
Wonderful. I know you did a lot of work on that research and getting a purple bench, and really, interesting that, we decided, as a group, where were we going to put this bench and the first bench, because we want to see benches all across Halton, we know. And so we reached out to you, Mayor Bonnett, and talked to you about the significance of having our first bench in Georgetown. What do you think that will mean for the community and your residents?
I think, first of all, it's going to bring awareness that if there's intimate partner violence or domestic violence, that there is help out there, and that it can get so serious that this could lead to death, that somebody could die. None of that. It's not the person, the violence in the family, but it's the children that witness it, and they get scarred for life, witnessing this. So I think by having it in such a great place as Dominion Seed Gardens, lots of people walk through there. The ALS used to have the largest walk in all of Canada, and over 1,000 participants, sometimes up to 2,000 participants. They light up the hills. There's so many different events that happens there. So it'll be a very high profile. Our staff have been working very hard to get the location, and I think we have an excellent location that'll have to bring that awareness that is needed. And I'm very excited for that day. I think it's December the 6th, so we're excited to have that commemorative moment. And it's also a sad moment too, because it's not anything to really rejoice. It's something to really to say there's awareness, folks. This is really happening.
I think, and I think you put a great point there in terms of the, raising that awareness. That was the first thing that you said, right? Educating the community, because we are, I know, with Halton Regional Police Services, their statistics are showing that, there's been an increase in calls from the community, from this area. And maybe there's a disconnect with the fact because we don't have a physical location in Halton Hills. We have one in Milton, not too far away, but it's a great piece to let women and children who walk through that park see that bench, read the plaque that's going to be on the bench, having our crisis numbers there, and giving them a little bit of information right there, in that there is a shelter that they can connect with, or someone to connect with. Maybe they don't need to live in the shelter. So I think, the part of, the awareness piece is so important. Lori, I know that, and Tom as well, who, you provide us with those statistics, the importance for you to have the first bench in Georgetown, either one.
For us, I think it's important for us to acknowledge that, like I said earlier, right, intimate partner violence affects everybody in our community, and it's widespread everywhere, right? And we want everybody to know, from the town of Halton Hills all the way down to Burlington and Oakville and Milton and all in between, that you're not alone out there, and there's supports. And I think it's important for us to be able to show that, wherever you are, there's supports within the region, right? And we're going to support everybody and try and help them get connected with the resources that they need, because they're not alone. And like I said, it's more than just the police, it's everybody. It's the town, it's the human services that are available, such as the shelter and the crisis and all the counseling. And there's so many other pieces that we need to get to work together to try and address this issue. So it's great that we can have the awareness, and it's going to be across the region. And it's really nice to see that we're able to start this up in the town of Halton Hills to be able to support that community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a quick break, but we are going to talk about the significance of having it on December 6th, having our unveiling on December 6th, and in talking about exactly, what we we're just talking about in terms of families and being a part of this, because there are the surviving family members of women who have been killed due to domestic violence. So we're going to talk to a family that's been affected by domestic violence, and the significance of having this bench in Georgetown. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Halton Women's Place. Today we're talking about November being Women Abuse Prevention Month. We're talking about the month being purple, and also talking about a really special project that we are initiating in Georgetown in a few weeks. Barb's Benches, and what that means for the community, and what that means specifically for Halton Regional Police, Halton Region, and also Halton Women's Place. The unveiling of this bench will take place on December 6th, and where we will also recognize that it is the National Day of Remembrance. So we will be also talking about that fateful day in Montreal, and combining those events together in the significance of remembering survivors. I want to talk to you, Lori, and maybe actually even Mayor, about the significance of unveiling this project on this day. What does it mean to you and to your residents and to our clients? Mayor, did you want to go first?
Sure. December the 6th, as we know, that was the mass shooting at Politique in Montreal, and I think that was really symbolic that right across the country that this is really happening, that we never had a mass shooting like this targeting women before. We've had obviously violence against women, but this was an actual hit with a full intention of killing women on that day. And I can remember I was teaching at Humber College at that time. And it hit me as well that same thing could happen in Toronto or anywhere else. And so it's a very significant day. So it ties in nicely with the messaging that we're trying to get out, that there is intimate domestic violence, and it could be your neighbor that you would not even know about. That's the thing. We don't, you hear that, oh, so-and-so is a really good guy, and then you don't know what happens behind closed doors. And none of us do until there's usually a situation. And I think on December the 6th, we're going to have this awareness bench, if you will. And I think that's the important message that I said earlier in the show, that we want to have people to be awareness. And December the 6th can't be a better day, because that is the anniversary of the mass shooting in Montreal.
Absolutely. Lori, the mayor touched on something really important about the fact that it can happen to anyone. Abuse knows no boundaries. So we say that a lot. Explain to our guests here and to our audience, what does that mean? Abuse has no boundaries.
Abuse can really happen to anybody. I mean, we know that 1 in 4 women are impacted by domestic violence. We all have mothers, sisters, nieces, grandmothers, neighbors, friends. We all know someone. We all have a colleague. We know somebody who has been through and experienced domestic violence. We may or may not have heard that from them yet, because they may not have felt comfortable to talk about that. And so that's really, again, what our hope here at Halton Women's Place is, to continue to work with our community, to provide people with a safe space to talk about what's happening to them. Because until we talk about what's going on, we can't get the help that we need. And, as far as us moving out to Georgetown, I mean, that's a community that we don't have a huge presence in. And we want to make sure that the folks out in Georgetown, Acton, Milton, that they know that, there is support available, and that abuse is not okay. And everybody's got a right to safety in our communities, and that there's help available.
Absolutely. I always say, when people say to me that they don't know anyone that has been abused or has experienced anything, I always say, you do know, you just don't know her story. So I agree with you on that. Absolutely. And talking about that, in fact, bringing in Paul and Flo Hendersonville from Georgetown, and who will be a part of this unveiling on December 6th with Halton Women's Place and the town and Halton Regional Police. What does this mean to you, to your family who lost a loved one to intimate partner violence? What does this mean to you to have this bench in Georgetown?
It's very important to us, but more important, it'll be important to the people that know Darian, that loved her in a different way than us.
Yeah, for us to have awareness of this bench, and people can go there and be reminded every time they see it about what could happen to any girl. And for us as a family, Darian paid the ultimate price for violence. It gets no worse than that. And Flo and I are living a nightmare that has no words to explain it. And we're here to help other girls, hopefully. Hopefully what we say or our story can make someone go for help. And there is help out there, so that's what we want.
Darian chose the Dominion Seed Park to go there when she wasn't feeling good. We put a bench in there and she sat there. So to have a purple bench there with a more massive meaning, I think it's a great thing. And due to our tragedy, we found out more and more young women in Georgetown far exceeded what we knew or believed. So I think it's a very crucial place to start this.
Over a year ago, you reached out to Lori at Halton Women's Place, and since then have been in really good, close contact with her and with me and others from Halton Women's Place. Why did you want to reach out? This is what inspires me so much when I talk to you every time. Why did you want to reach out? Because we don't often hear from the families.
It was important to both Paul and I that we now can't help Darian, but we can keep her name going so other young women understand that it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
It's not a specific person. It's whoever they can get hold of, these violent people, and manipulate. And that, as you said, can be your next door neighbor, somebody you know, an associate. It can be anybody. And so it's very important to both of us that this doesn't happen to another person if it can be avoided.
We felt that, at that time there were so many questions that were unanswered. It's so easy to look back at what goes on and things that are there, but you wonder, but you really don't know what actually took place. And, we believe Darian, I think she protected Flo and I. She loved us dearly. And I think after her death and we talked to Lori, we thought that maybe we can find some answers we didn't have before. So we got many goals in this for us. So we're thankful to everyone who's taken part in trying to make change. Change has to happen, not just judicially, it has to change. Like, these guys are let out and they're walking around and they shouldn't be. Like, just to sort of quote Mayor Tory a couple weeks on the news, with all the gun violence in Toronto and different things going on and illegal guns coming into Canada, he said something has to be done about this. And he said there's more of an issue made about somebody smuggling a bottle of booze across the border than it is with guns. And he said it tongue in cheek, I'm sure, but I get what he's saying. Things have to change.
And the project of these benches, I just wanted to mention, the one thing Darian seemed to need, as much as she needed us, she needed a quiet spot where she wouldn't be bothered by anybody. And I think this is what these benches will do. Once people understand where they've come from, how they came about, that some young woman can go there and sit, or her and a buddy can get away from family, friends, abuse, and sit down in a nice spot, and maybe they can talk to one another there. And I know Darian did that. So I know it will be an important thing for anybody that's held up in these violent situations.
Flo, you and I had a conversation yesterday, and I said to you that, I bet speaking about Darian and about, what your family has gone through has been difficult, but it's also been healing. And you talked about, that right after this happened, that you began to realize that, there was an opportunity for you to heal through talking about Darian, and also that it would help others. And so that's why, you continue to tell your story and you reach out. Can you talk a little bit about how you feel when you're like the healing process anyways, or trying to get through the healing process?
Yeah, Paul and I have always been really close, but we discovered greatly under the trauma of losing a child that you're not in the same spot, on the same page. And that was trying for us because we've always been in the same spot, on the same page. But going through the regular things in life, I hate to say it, that's a fairly simple thing to do. It's just when you get to things like this, there are so many heartfelt situations. And we are very grateful for Halton Women's Place. And we let everybody know, because that can be a healing spot for us, for them. And for Lori and you have been a healing spot for us to be able to share those feelings. You talk.
Yeah. I guess, the end, it's so complex. There's so much could be said, but I guess everybody working so hard together and bringing awareness to everything may bring change. I don't know how to go about it. We talk to politicians about their platforms for change, and you just I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't have the answer, but I sure know what I want to have happen. But let's hope we can all do it.
And
And I
with the
think,
sorry,
sorry, go ahead,
with
go
the
ahead.
contacts of yourself, Lori, Anita, Tom, and Rick, that's how it happens. It happens because we have something like this and can share, and then everybody gets on. And that really helps.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that we can't do it alone. And by you sharing your story, that was a great opening in terms of making change. I know you're very, close with the police services that have helped you over this last year and a half. And I think that it is with partnerships, and we talked about partnerships in the beginning of the show, how important that is. Nobody can do this alone. The shelter can't do it alone. The police can't do it alone. The town can't do it alone. Families can't do it alone. So working together in advocacy and awareness building is what's really going to change and make change, right? In terms of talking about it, having other families come out and speak, other women who, may think that they are alone will feel less alone because they know that they have the support of the community behind them. I think it's really, really important. And I'm grateful to know you and inspired every time I talk to you, and grateful to be part of an organization that, raises such important awareness in this community and advocates for women and children who are experiencing violence, and for the partnerships that we have now with Mayor Bonnet and the town of Halton Hills. So important to reach your residents, Mayor, with your leadership, which is fantastic, and to the Halton Regional Police Services, who, we can't do this work without them. So I want to say thank you to all of you for joining me today, for helping us commemorate Women Abuse Prevention Month. I know it's a tough month for everyone, especially if you've been touched by violence. Please know that you are not alone. Please reach out to our crisis lines, our website. Know that we are here for you 24/7. On behalf of Halton Women's Place and all of my guests, I say thank you, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.